Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Video ini adalah untuk menerangkan tentang Chapter 3 Research Methodology and Project Planning bagi kursus TMK 40142. Baik, dalam kursus ini, dalam chapter ini, you will learn to plan a research project, the research methodology, the determination of types and quantity of materials required, laboratory equipment or instruments required to conduct the project, estimate of the cost involved including considerations cost saving, data collections method and the data analysis method. Alright, plan research project. Whatever method you use, you will need to pilot your methodology. Piloting is practicing checking that you can use the method correctly and that will work in the circumstances in which you are using it to provide usable data. Piloting usually suggests changes and modifications to the methods you are using, sometimes large, sometimes small, and so is an essential process. Not piloting the methodology is a very common cause of failure for research students. Okay, for the research methodology, this is the section of your dissertation that explains how you carry out your research. Okay, where your data comes from, what sorts of data gathering techniques you use, and so forth. Generally, someone reading your methodology should have enough information to be able to create methods very similar to the ones you use to obtain your data. But you do not have to include any questionnaires, reviews, interviews, etc. that you use to conduct your research here. You just need to write your method only. This section is primarily for explaining why you choose to use those particular techniques to gather your data. Okay, so research methodology consists of two types, which are qualitative and quantitative. So the technique for the qualitative research, you may use observation, questionnaires, other written materials, sampling, and interviews. Okay, all of these qualitative research have their advantage and disadvantage, and you may use this technique in order depending on the purpose of your research. For the quantitative research, you may use survey, laboratory experiments, mathematical modeling, and econometrics. Alright, for the laboratory equipment or instruments required to conduct the project, right? The measurement instrument refers to different methods through which a researcher collects data from respondents for a research work. There are different types of measurement instruments that can be used by a researcher for their studies. It depends on the nature of research that is to be carried out. Okay, they include questionnaire, interviews, observations, focus group discussion, and experiments. Alright, so the laboratory equipment or instruments required to conduct the project. Okay, for example of the equipment or instruments that you may use, it depends on the type of research. Okay, so for applied research, you may use questionnaire, interview, and observation. For survey, you may use questionnaire, focus group discussion, interview, and observation. For case study research, you may use questionnaire, interview, focus group discussion, and observation. For ethnographic or correlational research, you may use observation, questionnaire, focus group discussion, and interview. For historical research, you may use observation, focus group discussion, and interview. For evaluation research, you may use focus group discussion, interview, and observation. For pure science research, you may use experiment and observation. For action research, you may use questionnaire and interview. For longitudinal research, you may use questionnaire, observation, focus group discussion, interview, and experiments in case of pure science research. For exploratory, you may use questionnaire, observation, and interview. Alright, the estimate of the costing involved including consideration cost saving. Alright, the cost of a piece of research is how much it will cost your institution for you to undertake the research in question. The amount is calculated and described as the full economic cost, or we call it as FEC. When costing research activities, for example, project proposals, three main cost elements are considered. First, direct incurred. Second, directly allocated. And the third one is indirect. One is directly incurred. Directly incurred is those that can be explicitly identified and recorded against a project. For example, a research assistant working full-time on the project, equipment bought for exclusive use by the project, travel directly related to project, materials bought for the project. Okay, for directly allocated, okay, those that are attributed to a project but are estimated rather than directly recorded. For example, your time that you expect to spend, the pool, the staff, the building, and so on. For the indirect is all the other costs running your institution that not directly attribute to project but nonetheless need to be paid for. For example, you need to pay for the library, you need to pay for the HR, finance, and so on. Okay. Okay, this is the checklist for your proposal budget items directly tied to the project. Okay, all of this checklist is the consideration you need to do, you need to consider uh, for your budget list. Okay, all right. This is the example. If you want to make a cost estimation, right? Okay, for the data collection methods, there are many types of data. Your data could be experimental results, field data, or survey data, or they could come from direct observations of social situations. The data could be quantitative, qualitative, or a combination of both types, right? Collecting the data can be a short or a long process. For example, a project on the behavior of apes may take many months of detailed observation and recording, while some experimental projects may take only a few weeks or even days to complete. However, the collection data is an important part of any research activity. This is because the conclusions of the study are based on what the data reveals. Basically, data can be obtained from two major sources, primary and secondary sources. Okay, what is primary data? Primary data is the information gathered by the researcher through the use of questionnaire or personal interview or observation method, while the secondary data is the researcher collects information that has already been obtained and processed by government, department, or various agencies before it is made available for other interested users. These are published in unpublished source, for example, journal, textbooks, newspaper, magazines, flyers, annual reports, bulletins, periodicals, etc. Okay, this is the data collection method. Okay, there are a few methods that you may use to collect your data. Researcher can collect the following types of data from respondents. For example, demographic information of data like age, sex, gender, educational background, ethnicity, or religion. Okay, and then they may do the test scores, or they may do the events. Okay, they may do the response to research question like an interview or survey question. They may do the grade point average obtained from school records or essay written by the students, or they may do the anecdotal record. Okay, in fact, the list of data to be collected is not limited to one listed above. For this reason, it is important for every researcher to decide on what kind of data he intends, on what kinds of data he intends to collect, and by what method to collect it. Okay, those methods that researchers use in collecting his desired data are known as research or measurement instrument. Okay, for the data analysis method, data analysis includes the systematic organizing of the data and its presentation in a form that readers of your project can understand. It also includes the interpretation of data to identify the important ideas or new bits of knowledge that they reveal. Each discipline will have descriptive and analytical techniques ranging from statistical analysis to computer modeling to presentational methods to qualitative analysis. You will need to choose the methods best suits to the data you have collected and will need to be able to justify your choice of methods. Okay, data analysis methods also, okay, there are two types of data analysis methods, quantitative and qualitative. Okay, quantitative may express in number, okay, and qualitative cannot express in number. Alright, so for example of quantitative data, average, range, frequency, standard deviation, hypothesis testing. Okay, for qualitative data analysis, you may analyze you by content analysis or grounded theory. Okay, these are 10 key types of data analysis methods. Okay, for the mathematical and statistical method, okay, you may use descriptive analysis, regression analysis, factor analysis, depression analysis, discriminant analysis, or time series. While for the method based on the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and heuristic algorithm, okay, you may use neural network, decision trees, evolutionary algorithm, and fuzzy logic. Basically, for the artificial intelligence, you need to use software. Okay, these are the top 15 of data analysis techniques. Okay, calibrate your needs, establish your question, data democratization, clean your data, set your KPI. Okay, omit useless data, build a data management roadmap, integrate technology, answer your question, visualize your data, interpretation of data, consider autonomous technology, build a narrative, shadow load, and data analysis tools. Okay, next we go to the writing guideline. What should you have in your chapter 3? Okay, you need to the content of your chapter 3 should be flowchart, materials, okay, methods and procedure, data collection, and instrumentation. Okay, this is the example of flowchart. Flowchart must be the flow, okay, step by step what need you to do. Okay, firstly, for example, this topic is about for the biodiesel production. So in biodiesel, you need to use catalyst. So first step dia kena buat catalyst first. Okay, so they need to modify the MMT. The modification of MMT is the catalyst lah. Okay, they modify the MMT using aluminium, ferrum, cuprum, and apa ni? Zinc. Okay, so the first step dalam whole research dia kena modify the catalyst. Okay, the second step after the modification, they need to characterize the catalyst. So the characterization of the next step after the modification is characterization of catalyst, and then how they characterize using SRD, SEMEDS, BET, and NH3TPD. Okay, next after after finish producing the catalyst, okay, then they use the catalyst in biodiesel production. So the next step is they produce the biodiesel. Okay, after the biodiesel production, okay, then they need to do the optimization. Okay, optimization dia menggunakan RSM. So what they study during the optimization, they study on methanol to oil ratio, temperature, percentage of catalyst loading, and time of reaction. Okay, once you have finished the biodiesel production, then you have to verify the product. How to verify the product? Using GCFID. Okay, tengok the peak appear tu betul ke yang keluar tu adalah biodiesel. That is the verification of product. So look here, this is the flow chart. Okay, the flow chart is what you're starting, okay, and then you followed by which stage, and followed by which stage, and followed by which stage, and followed by which stage. Okay, next, okay, this is an example of list of materials. Okay, apa yang you perlukan? You need chemicals. What type of chemicals? You need standard. What type of standard you need? Okay, you need the apparatus. What type of apparatus you need? Okay, you need the instrument. What type of instrument you need? You need the software. So what type of software you need? Okay, this is briefly step by step of your method. Okay, methods or procedure. So just now from the flow chart, okay, it stated that firstly you kena modify the MMT. So you buatlah kat the tajuk, the subtopic, you kena ada modification of MMT, and then you need to explain how do you modify the MMT. Okay, the second point, the second step is the characterization of MMT. So you need to explain. Okay, you characterize the MMT. Okay, just now you said that you characterize the MMT using a few instruments like SRD, BET, TPD, okay, and so on. So in your characterization of MMT must consist of BET. So how you characterize using BET? You need to characterize your MMT using SRD. So how you characterize your MMT using SRD? Okay. Next, for biodiesel production. Okay, the next step is biodiesel production. So you have to explain the whole briefing method. How do you produce the biodiesel? Okay, then the next step is optimization. So you need to explain how do you optimize the biodiesel production. And the last one is product verification. So you need to explain on how you verify the product. So in the methods, for this case, you need to have 5 subtitles under the methods. Understand? Okay, next. When you do the experiment, okay, you already know what data you need. Okay? You buat eksperimen, you must know lah what data you need. Apa result yang you nak nanti. Okay? For example, for this one is for the biodiesel. For biodiesel production. Okay? So, the data that they need is yield percentage and FFA conversion. Okay, for example, okay, this is the condition for the time, methanol to oil ratio, catalyst loading and temperature. Okay, for this condition, okay, they need to know the yield of percentage for aluminium punya catalyst, for cuprum punya catalyst, for ferrum punya catalyst and zinc punya catalyst. And they need also to know the free fatty acid conversion, okay, for the aluminium punya catalyst, cuprum punya catalyst, ferrum punya catalyst and zinc punya catalyst. So dia tabulate. Nanti dapat result tinggal fill in, isi je dalam table. Dapat result, isi dalam table. Okay, so before you do your research, you need to have the table first. So you know your objective, you know your aim. Okay, what you are what you need to obtain, okay, in the end of your research. Understand? Okay, this is for the instrumentation. Why instrumentation? Because maybe in the method, okay, you said that after the biodiesel production and then the product is analyzed using GCFID. Dah, titik sampai situ je. And then for the part of instrumentation, you go back. Okay, dalam method tadi, what instrument you use? So you senaraikan balik. Okay, for example, one of the instrument is GCFID. So for the GCFID, you kena buat karangan. Okay, this GCFID is to analyze the biodiesel. Okay, the method used for the GCFID ni semua ni. Kena bagi tahu you pakai berapa banyak, you pakai kolom apa, temperature berapa, for how long the retention time running. Okay, this is the method, specific method you need for your instrument. So later, bila you dah nak sampai part for the analyze of biodiesel tu, okay, and then you just go back to your proposal and refer to the method dekat bahagian instrument saja. Tak perlu you baca balik semua method you. Understand? Okay, so that's all for this slide. Okay, hopefully you can do your chapter 3 well. If any question, you may directly PM or ask me. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.